No position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent, and fuck off. Okay?
Something about that one particular part where everybody's talking, and they all cried out Epstein Island. And I went, oh, okay. Now I understand what we're up against.
Wow.
Epstein Island isn't the only sex island out there. And Tim Ballard takes down one of the film.
For years, Hollywood has been a place where success and controversy often walk hand in hand. Behind the red carpets, award shows, and carefully crafted public images, there have always been whispers about power, influence, and what happens when someone refuses to play by the industry's unwritten rules. Few stories illustrate that debate better than the career of Jim Caviezel. Once viewed as one of Hollywood's most promising leading men, Caviezel's path took a dramatically different direction after a series of career-defining decisions that made him both admired and criticized. Supporters claim he was punished for standing by his beliefs. Critics argue that his challenges stemmed from controversial public positions and the causes he chose to embrace. Either way, his story has remained one of the most discussed mysteries in modern entertainment. Adding even more intrigue to the conversation are two names that have become symbols of entirely different sides of Hollywood culture: Ricky Gervais and Ellen DeGeneres. Gervais built a reputation by mocking celebrity hypocrisy and refusing to follow industry expectations. Ellen, meanwhile, spent years as one of the most influential personalities in television before facing public scrutiny that dramatically altered her image. As conversations about Hollywood power structures intensified, fans began connecting these stories together, searching for answers about what really happens behind the scenes when public figures challenge accepted narratives. Tonight, we examine the rise of Jim Caviezel, the controversies that followed him, the public reactions that shaped his career, and the larger questions surrounding Hollywood itself. Were his struggles simply the result of career choices, or do they reveal something deeper about the entertainment industry? To understand the answer, we must begin at the very start of Caviezel's journey and the events that transformed him from a rising star into one of Hollywood's most debated figures today.
When I hosted the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, oh, I'm going to write my own jokes. Right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room or the 200 million people watching at home?
I will tell you this right now. I would absolutely die. If this were to change the world and get rid of trafficking and pornography and all of the 8 arms of this octopus that has to be destroyed, the only way you can destroy it is take the head out. If that hit, I'd give my life for it in a heartbeat.
Long before headlines and controversy surrounded his name, Jim Caviezel was regarded as one of the most promising dramatic actors of his generation. Born in Washington State, he initially pursued athletics before injuries redirected his ambitions toward acting. What followed was a steady climb through Hollywood's competitive ranks. Unlike many aspiring performers who spend years struggling for visibility, Caviezel quickly attracted attention for his intense screen presence and ability to portray emotionally complex characters. His performances in films such as The Thin Red Line demonstrated a depth that critics and audiences immediately noticed. Throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, Caviezel appeared in a variety of projects that showcased his versatility. Whether portraying soldiers, romantic leads, or morally conflicted characters, he seemed destined for long-term mainstream success. Industry insiders often described him as disciplined, professional, and deeply committed to his craft. Yet there was another aspect of his personality that distinguished him from many of his peers. Caviezel openly discussed his faith and the role it played in shaping his decisions, both personally and professionally. As his profile grew, so did his reputation for setting boundaries regarding the types of roles he would accept. While such choices earned admiration from supporters, they also made him unusual within an industry often driven by flexibility and compromise. Over time, those convictions became inseparable from his public image. What initially appeared to be a straightforward Hollywood success story gradually evolved into something more complicated. The same principles that helped define his identity would eventually place him at the center of debates about faith, entertainment, and professional consequences. The turning point was approaching, and it would arrive through a film that changed not only Caviezel's career but also the way many people viewed him forever in the public eye.
That includes multiple names that we've covered here before on the channel. Jim Caviezel,
we have Ricky Gervais, we have Epstein Island, and we have Ellen DeGeneres. How could we not dive into this one and actually see what's being said? I want to dive into the story, give my context and my insight that I know, since I have so much information here in my head about all of these people.
But I had a lot of experience from the Passion of the Christ, and we were humiliated. We were taken through the ringer in the media. This was before Trump came out and said it was, the lying media and the fake news. And they were fake news back when we were doing that. But
the defining moment of Jim Caviezel's career arrived in 2004 with The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson. Few films in modern cinema have generated as much anticipation, debate, and controversy before release. The project focused on the final hours of Jesus Christ and presented the story with an intensity rarely seen in mainstream filmmaking. For Caviezel, accepting the role was not simply another career opportunity. It was a decision deeply connected to his personal beliefs and values. According to numerous interviews over the years, both Caviezel and Gibson understood that the film could provoke strong reactions. The subject matter alone guaranteed controversy, but few predicted the scale of the cultural impact that followed. Upon release, the movie became a worldwide phenomenon, earning hundreds of millions of dollars and attracting audiences far beyond traditional religious communities. Churches organized group screenings, discussions filled television programs, and critics fiercely debated the film's artistic and spiritual significance. While commercial success seemed to confirm Caviezel's status as a major star, the aftermath proved more complicated. Supporters praised his performance as one of the most powerful portrayals of Jesus ever captured on film. Critics questioned aspects of the production and its broader messaging. Almost immediately, Caviezel became associated with the role in a way that few actors experience. For some viewers, he was no longer simply an actor portraying a character. He became permanently connected to the film's themes and symbolism. Years later, discussions surrounding The Passion of the Christ remained central to understanding Caviezel's public image. The movie elevated him to international recognition, but it also transformed how Hollywood, media organizations, and audiences perceived him. Whether that transformation ultimately benefited or limited his career remains one of the most debated questions surrounding his journey through the entertainment industry and the choices that followed afterward.
Aren't just given to you in Hollywood. They have to be earned, and oftentimes these things are being earned from terrible acts that have to happen against you. This is no secret at this point in time. It's something that we've discussed in depth here on the channel, and some people are even coming up against charges for doing this type of a thing over the years.
And for years, the producers of that show kept inviting
we had to fight for everything we had. And so we got that film done. So I had a little bit experience of what this can be like, but when God tells you what to do, you don't hesitate. So what led to that scene when they asked.
Following the unprecedented success of The Passion of the Christ, many observers expected Jim Caviezel to become one of Hollywood's dominant leading men. Historically, actors associated with major box office successes often receive a flood of new opportunities. Yet Caviezel's career trajectory appeared different. While he continued working consistently, the scale and visibility of many projects changed, leading supporters to question why someone connected to such a successful film did not experience a more conventional rise. Several explanations emerged. Some industry analysts argued that being strongly associated with a single iconic role can create challenges for performers. Audiences often struggle to separate actors from characters that become cultural landmarks. Others pointed to Caviezel's increasingly public discussions about faith and morality. Unlike many celebrities who avoid potentially divisive topics, he frequently addressed them directly, reinforcing an image that distinguished him from mainstream Hollywood norms. During this period, Caviezel continued appearing in films and television productions while maintaining a loyal audience. However, public conversations increasingly focused less on his performances and more on his beliefs. This shift created a dynamic in which discussions about his career became intertwined with broader debates about religion, culture, and entertainment. Supporters interpreted criticism as evidence that he was being treated unfairly. Critics viewed public reaction as a predictable consequence of controversial positions. What makes this chapter particularly significant is that it established the framework for nearly every discussion that followed. Questions about whether Caviezel faced professional consequences because of his convictions became recurring themes in interviews, articles, and online conversations. Regardless of individual viewpoints, one fact remained clear. His career had evolved into something larger than acting alone. He had become a symbol within a broader cultural debate, and that role would continue shaping perceptions of him for years to come throughout the entertainment landscape and beyond. As Jim Caviezel's public profile evolved, another figure was gaining attention for a very different reason. Ricky Gervais became known as one of entertainment's most fearless comedians, building a reputation around challenging authority, exposing hypocrisy, and refusing to conform to celebrity expectations. Whether through stand-up performances, interviews, or award show monologues, Gervais consistently positioned himself as an outsider willing to criticize the industry from within. His most memorable moments often occurred during high-profile events where many celebrities expected safe humor and predictable speeches. Instead, Gervais delivered sharp observations about fame, privilege, and public image. These remarks resonated with audiences who believed that Hollywood often protected powerful figures while demanding accountability from others. Over time, his commentary became associated with larger conversations about transparency and honesty in entertainment. Although Gervais and Caviezel traveled very different professional paths, supporters frequently linked them because both appeared willing to challenge prevailing narratives. Gervais did so through comedy and satire. Caviezel did so through public statements and personal convictions. The comparison was not based on identical beliefs but rather on a shared perception that neither man was particularly interested in adjusting his message to satisfy critics. This connection became increasingly important as debates about Hollywood culture intensified. Audiences searching for examples of individuals willing to question industry norms often pointed to figures like Gervais. His willingness to criticize celebrity culture helped establish him as a symbol of resistance against perceived hypocrisy. As a result, whenever conversations emerged about Hollywood power structures, his name often appeared alongside discussions involving controversial public figures, including Caviezel. Whether intentional or not, Gervais became part of a larger narrative about authenticity, public backlash, and the consequences of refusing to remain silent in environments where conformity is often rewarded and disagreement can generate significant controversy.
Breaking news from the latest 2026 Epstein file dumps. Ellen DeGeneres has been exposed as the key link connecting Jeffrey Epstein's infamous island network to Hollywood's hidden world of ritualistic practices, including the consumption of human flesh in ancient-style ceremonies. But the revelations go.
While Ricky Gervais represented one side of Hollywood's evolving conversation, Ellen DeGeneres represented another. For years, Ellen stood among the most influential figures in television. Her daytime talk show attracted major celebrities, generated enormous ratings, and helped shape public perception of countless entertainers. Through humor, generosity, and a carefully crafted image built around kindness, she became one of the most recognizable personalities in media. However, public perception can change rapidly. In 2020, reports concerning workplace culture on her show sparked widespread debate. Former employees described negative experiences, leading to extensive media coverage and internal investigations. Ellen publicly addressed the controversy and accepted responsibility for issues that occurred under her leadership, while also disputing some characterizations of her behavior. Regardless of individual opinions, the episode marked a significant turning point in her career and public image. Because Ellen had long been viewed as a symbol of mainstream Hollywood success, the controversy surrounding her became part of broader discussions about celebrity influence and accountability. Audiences began examining how public figures maintain their reputations and how media narratives can shift over time. As a result, her name frequently appeared in conversations about power dynamics within the entertainment industry. It is important to note that public speculation often connects major celebrities to broader industry controversies without establishing direct evidence. Discussions involving Ellen, Caviezel, and other public figures frequently blend verified events with assumptions, interpretations, and online theories. Understanding the distinction between documented facts and speculation remains essential when examining these stories. What can be confirmed is that Ellen's experience demonstrated how quickly public opinion can transform, even for individuals who once appeared untouchable. That lesson continues to influence discussions about celebrity culture, accountability, and the fragile nature of public trust in the modern media environment today. Nearly 2 decades after the Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel once again found himself at the center of national attention with the release of Sound of Freedom. The film focused on efforts to combat child trafficking and quickly became one of the most discussed movies of the year. Supporters praised its message and commercial success, while critics questioned aspects of the public conversation surrounding the project. Once again, Caviezel became a lightning rod for intense debate. What made the situation particularly unusual was how quickly discussions expanded beyond the film itself. Instead of focusing solely on performances or storytelling, much of the media attention centered on political implications, public statements, and competing interpretations of the movie's significance. For supporters, this reaction reinforced long-standing beliefs that certain subjects receive disproportionate scrutiny. For critics, it reflected legitimate concerns about narratives associated with individuals connected to the project. The controversy highlighted a recurring pattern in Caviezel's career. Time and again, projects involving him appeared to generate conversations extending far beyond entertainment. Whether discussing religion, morality, politics, or cultural values, public attention often shifted toward larger societal debates. As a result, opinions about Caviezel frequently reflected broader ideological perspectives rather than assessments of his acting alone. Commercially, Sound of Freedom achieved significant success and demonstrated Caviezel's ability to attract audiences despite years of controversy. The film's performance surprised many industry observers and reignited questions about how public demand differs from assumptions made within entertainment circles. Supporters viewed the success as validation. Critics remained skeptical. Yet regardless of interpretation, the project ensured that Caviezel remained a relevant and influential figure within contemporary cultural discussions. Once again, he found himself at the intersection of entertainment, controversy, and public debate, a position that has defined much of his career trajectory over the past 2 decades. As we reach the end of this investigation, one thing becomes clear. The story of Jim Caviezel cannot be reduced to a simple narrative of heroism, victimhood, or controversy. Instead, it reflects the complicated relationship between personal conviction, public perception, and the realities of the entertainment industry. Over the years, Caviezel has inspired admiration, criticism, debate, and intense discussion. Few actors generate such strong reactions from audiences across so many different backgrounds. Ricky Gervais, meanwhile, continues to serve as a reminder that challenging powerful institutions often attracts both praise and backlash. His career demonstrates how audiences frequently reward individuals who appear willing to speak candidly, even when those comments create discomfort. Ellen DeGeneres' experience illustrates another side of the equation, showing how rapidly public opinion can shift and how difficult it can be to maintain influence once trust is questioned. Together, these stories reveal the complexity of celebrity culture and the forces that shape modern entertainment. The most important takeaway may not be whether Hollywood treated Jim Caviezel fairly or unfairly. Rather, it is the recognition that public narratives are rarely as simple as they first appear. Careers are shaped by decisions, beliefs, media coverage, audience reactions, and countless factors that remain invisible to the public. Understanding those complexities requires looking beyond headlines and examining evidence carefully. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Jim Caviezel faced unique challenges because of his convictions? Do you think Hollywood treats outspoken figures differently? And what lessons can be learned from the careers of Caviezel, Gervais, and Ellen DeGeneres? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for future investigations.